So I took a look at Red Faction Guerrilla like a year ago on the Xbox One X. We did a full gameplay video here, and I liked it a lot because I like Red Faction Guerrilla. And we found out a month or two later that there were button prompts in the game. People data mined it and found Pro Controller ones for the Switch Pro Controller button prompts in there. So we kind of figured, okay, it's coming to the Switch at some point. Turns out it took like a year, but it is finally out. And I've had a chance to play it as THQ Nordic sent it over a bit early for me to check out. And I guess the question is, did they really fit all of that destruction onto the Switch within reason and have it perform fairly well? Oh yeah. Now you have to excuse my excitement. I really like Red Faction Guerrilla. I played it back on the 360 when it first came out, and I really didn't hear anyone talking about it much. But the destruction mechanics in the game were awesome. They were amazing. I loved blowing up all of the different buildings, or using your sledgehammer to take out certain pillars, to knock buildings down in different ways, or you could even run up to an enemy and hit them and they could go flying at times. You had a whole group of them. You would increase your person's abilities through salvage and scrap and stuff. It was just a fun game overall. It wasn't like super story driven. It was just fun. So I've always had like a soft spot for this game since like, what, a decade ago or something? It's been a while, but this would be the third system that I've played it on. 360, Xbox One X, and now the Nintendo Switch. And when I picked it up on the Switch and I started playing in handheld mode, it had that moment of like awe, because here we are now with a system that is a handheld as well, the hybrid system that is the Switch, and it is rolling forward with these destruction mechanics in portable mode without too much issue. It really is something to see. It was pretty cool. So there's still a lot to go over with it, and I want to kind of go through some of the pros and cons of the game, because it's not a perfect port, but there's a lot to it, and I'll tell you up front, I think it's worth picking up. Again, I just like the game. There's a lot to it, and I think it's really fun. It's out tomorrow, July 2nd, for $29.99, $30. Same price on the other platforms, where it's the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro, where it would be the same. Those, of course, have like the 4K visuals and everything, where it looks very nice on the screen. But if you want a portable experience, I guess you're getting it on the Switch, because that's the only way you can really remove it and take it with you when you want to leave your house. So to start off, the Switch does have a performance mode, and it has like a quality mode. And I played pretty much the entirety of my time in the performance mode. I switched over to quality to check it out. Don't recommend it at all. I would not do that. It doesn't run well. It feels slower. And it's kind of like how I took a look at Darksiders, and I told you guys about how THQ Nordic had a performance and a quality mode there as well, where performance was like an uncapped frame rate, and the quality was capped, and it was lower, and it didn't feel as good. This is like the exact same thing. Performance appears to be uncapped, and it does seem to fluctuate in terms of frame rate, but I'm telling you, there are times where this thing is at 60 frames per second when nothing's going on screen or anything, or I guess you're looking at the ground or the sky or something, but it feels way smoother. It's significantly higher than the quality mode, and to be honest, I don't see enough with quality mode, whether the resolution's higher or whatnot. There's nothing really there visually that makes me go, well, I guess I gotta play quality mode and take the frame rate hit. I'm always going to be on the side of the frame rate first, and I'm glad they're giving us these options to be able to say, hey, you know what, if it looks low resolution, whatever, I get better frame rate and it's more responsive. That's the mode I'm going to play in. So the game takes place on Mars, go figure, remastered, and the idea is you're playing as like a resistance group against the EDF, and you're trying to essentially take over Mars and everything, and you're liberating all these different zones, and the way you do that is you try to lower the influence or the manpower, essentially, of the EDF that you're fighting against. And what happens is, generally, your job is to go around and blow stuff up, which is why this game is so much fun. The destruction mechanics in this game, if you watch the video I did for Crackdown 3, I mentioned this game because I said I think this has better destruction mechanics than Crackdown 3, and Crackdown 3 is using the power of the cloud. Red Faction Guerrilla doesn't need that. It's all local and it's awesome. Like, basically you go around, you have mines that you can throw and you can blow them up. They're remote detonated. You have a sledgehammer you can smash through things with, and it still translates very, very well over to the Switch. And again, it's amazing. I love throwing detonators all over the place, blowing them up, and everything just goes, just explodes in front of you, and it'll crash down in front of you. It is just a great time. The gunplay is still sketchy in the game. Look, the thing about this game, the gunplay was never great. It was serviceable, would be the best way to say it, but it still works fine. HD rumble is incorporated to a degree. It has more precise rumble like times. Like, basically whenever you're pulling the trigger, it'll slightly rumble, whereas with like the Xbox when I was playing, it's just constantly rumbling when you're pressing the trigger at all. So that is there, but it's still not like anything crazy. Like, I wouldn't buy the game for HD rumble, you know, but it is there. It's just a fun game, and basically you go around this open world style game, and you just kind of free different areas. You complete objectives. There are different types of missions. Like, for example, there was one where I was tailing an enemy, and when they got out, I had to kill them so I get the intel back from them. Then I sent it back, and I got a new ability in return. So you're constantly unlocking abilities. You're buying different weapons, whether it's like a rocket launcher, or you're making your armor stronger, or you're getting new abilities. You can throw more charges. There's a lot of stuff to upgrade as you play through this game as well. It's not just like a straight up arcadey style game where nothing is progressing. Your character is getting stronger as you're liberating these areas, and when you show up to a new area, it's very difficult because the enemies are swarming. But as you knock down their morale and their resources, they'll become easier and easier, and eventually you just wipe them out from that area. It is a very satisfying feeling, and you'll get kind of addicted to going around to the different areas and wiping them all out. So visually, the game looks okay. It doesn't look like, obviously, it doesn't look like the Xbox One X version or the PlayStation 4 Pro version, where they can use 4K and it looks cleaner and it runs better. The Switch version, though, I'll admit, I turned it on, I said, okay, but then I started playing it, and it felt more responsive than I originally thought it might. And then in handheld mode, it felt way more responsive. But in handheld mode, I will say it does look like it is working with a bit of a dynamic resolution, as when a lot of stuff is going on screen, you kind of get this fading effect around your character's head to where you feel like it's dropping kind of low in resolution to the point where you can notice. But as long as it stays smooth, I don't really stop to look at my character when things are blowing up everywhere, or tons of enemies are shooting me. I'm pretty much running constantly, but there are times where I have noticed that just at a glance, that my character's head is like pixelating at the top. So there is a dynamic resolution working there. It does, I think, look and run better personally in docked mode, and that kind of makes some sense with what they were going for with the frame rate. However, it is a really cool game to see, again, in handheld mode with everything blowing up, but you're not going to get the same clarity, obviously, as an Xbox One X or PlayStation 4 Pro. You're buying this so that you have the option of handheld or docked. I'm going to tell you what my biggest annoyance about this version of the game is, though, and that is the load times. The load times are frustrating, and it's not like it loads up once in the beginning and then it's quicker to load. It loads up in the beginning, and that takes a while. We're talking like, 30, 40 seconds or something like that. And then if you die in a mission, you then have to go through a similar loading screen of similar length, and then you start the mission back up, and you got to run back out to it and everything. And then if you die again, same thing. It's like a constant loop of load screens if you keep dying at a specific mission that you're struggling with. And that is the worst punishment, is when you die in a mission and it's a frustrating death, like you're right at the end and you die, and then you realize you got to sit there and stare at the load screen for like half a minute. It doesn't sound like a lot when I say it here, right? Half a minute, okay. But it adds up, and trust me, if you die a lot in certain missions that are kind of difficult, it just makes you like more annoyed. Now, there are tons of options in the option menu. I mean, they have all types of audio settings, visual settings. I already talked about the different modes for performance and everything. But to go beyond that, you could turn down up and down audio for all types of things that are happening in the game. And it does have gyro controls, and it has sensitivity for all kinds of stuff, like whether it's on foot, in vehicles, all kinds of different little options to change things up and customize. That's something I've noticed with THQ Nordic. When you go into the options menu for some of their games, we even talked about like Sphinx, for example, there is like like an encyclopedia of options and things to check off or change just to get your experience to where you want it. But I was really happy to see gyro controls in there. It works very well for kind of like fine-tuning your shots when you're playing, if you want to, because maybe the joystick is just getting you a little too far over when you're trying to aim at a certain little spot. Using the gyro helps you to fine-tune it, and I think that works very well, actually. Specifically with the Pro Controller, technically it works in handheld mode, but keep in mind you're moving your entire Switch then, and that's one where I'm less inclined to use it. However, you might want to, considering the less travel, I guess, that the Joy-Con joystick has. But the fact that gyro controls there are going to make people pretty happy, I think. Finally, I still have some questions about the online, mostly because I had a hard time playing it since it was pre-launch, so there wasn't really anyone online at all. I managed to sync up with Evan, and we played a custom match, and it actually ran pretty well. You get experience and everything when you're playing, and that adds up into different things for your character. But the thing that really threw me, it has lobbies for friends, so that's great. If you make a lobby, friends can join in, you guys can do a custom match. You can do matchmaking together in that lobby, which is great. Like, that's something that people always want on the Switch, and they did it here. But what's interesting to me is when I was in the lobby, I noticed that there was an icon for a headset and a microphone, and I said, wait a minute, does this thing have voice chat? I couldn't test it, though. So if you pick it up, I'll even check it out, because there might even be a patch, like, you know, when it comes out. I'm going to check that out to see if that's a thing. Like, if I go online in matchmaking with friends, will I at that time be able to talk to them through a headset natively in the game? That's a big question for me, and I want to find out about that. So look around for that when it launches day 1 or day 2 to see if people are talking about that, because I noticed that symbol there, and if you can also voice chat. So if you have friend lobbies, right, where you make a lobby, friends join it, and you guys can switch between matchmaking and custom games, you can talk to each other, that is a pretty solid online experience on the Switch that a lot of games don't actually have right now, even Nintendo's games. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this port. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Again, I like the game already, but to see it now move to the Switch, where you have that portable nature and it runs well in portable mode, it's really cool to see the destruction, all the massive chaos that takes place in this game in portable mode. Very, very neat to see. The resolution I'm a little sketchy on. Like I said, at times it does look a bit blurry, but frame rate wise it seems to run fairly well until a ton of stuff gets on screen. Then you start to notice it chug a little bit. But I was pretty happy to see the buildings coming down and exploding and the frame rate not really take heavy dips. Very fun game. If you're looking for something new to play over the summer, maybe you're waiting for some other releases to come up and you want to just get kind of that demolition itch, I guess, where you just want to blow a bunch of stuff up and cause chaos and everything. You want an open world style game. This is the game to check out. It's a lot of fun. But let me know what you guys think about Red Faction Guerrilla. Maybe you've already played it before and you're now looking into it on the Switch and you're happy to hear that it's a fairly good port. Make sure you like the video if you liked it and it helped you out. Dislike it if not, and get subscribed as we go through all types of other games, accessories, news, and I'll see you guys next time.